Hello everybody and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary. Today I'm really excited because I get to bring to you another whiskey that I've been really looking forward to. This is Blackened, and it's by Metallica and a guy named Dave Pickerell. Now most of you have probably heard of Metallica, in fact that's probably how you found this video, but you might not be as familiar with Dave Pickerell, and I'll talk about him in a sec. But first things first, I just want to address a couple things. Number one, I am a huge fan of Metallica. I've got all their albums, I've seen them a couple times, I'm just huge fan of Metallica. Doesn't matter. I am a whiskey reviewer now and certainly not taking any money from Metallica. So that being said, if this sucks, I will tell you. So let's talk about this whiskey. Now, usually at the beginning of these, I talk a little bit about the distillery, but in this case, there is no distillery, at least not yet. There will be one in 2019, supposedly, that's what they're building right now. But at the moment, this is an independent bottling, which means that somebody, in this case Dave Pickerell, came and took a whole bunch of different whiskeys that he thought would taste really good if you mixed them together, and that's what this is. And each one of these bottles is part of a batch. Each one of these batches has about 5,000 bottles in it. So what you get might be a little bit different than what I have, but chances are it's going to have the same kind of spirit. All right, so this company that they started is called Smooth Amber Distilling Co. And even in the name, they are planning on making a distillery. One thing that you're going to run into a lot with craft distilleries is that they always seem to have some sort of gimmick. And these gimmicks they're prevalent. I get to review a lot of independent bottlings and craft whiskeys and whatever. There's always something. But let me talk about what makes this one unique, and part of the reason I've been looking forward to it. So there is a thing called black noise. And black noise is this new patent pending thing that Metallica and Dave Pickerell and Meyer Sound, who are the people that actually do a lot of the specific sound systems for Metallica's shows, they all kind of got together and they developed this system that allows them to basically put a bass right up against the barrels and just pretty much shake the crap out of them. And that helps to finish the whiskey. Now there is some science behind this because I'm an engineer. I couldn't help myself but look into this a little bit, especially I don't want to give misinformation or really buy into the hype here. So I will say that Dave Pickerell has said there is evidence that this is working and he will be providing it soon. So in the chance that I am wrong, I did some research myself. I'm not a chemist, I'm not a soundologist, but that being said, I did look. There is a white paper on, just reading this, ultrasonics sonochemistry, which they use on wine barrels. Now this is meant to kind of agitate the wine a little bit, and it actually increases the speed at which the wine will age. That being said, they did not age this whiskey using that because that would be kind of a no-no. That would get a lot of people to turn their nose up at it. And instead, what they did is they used this for the finishing, which is after the whiskey has already aged, they'll put it into a secondary barrel and they'll keep it in there for about 12 to 20 weeks or so. And in this case, they blast music at it. It's very low frequency music, but they still did it. Now you might be asking yourself, although you'd be kind of silly to do so, what kind of music would they blast at this for 12 to 20 weeks? Well, the short answer is Metallica. Now the long answer is each batch has a different playlist that they actually put this through. And I did a little bit more digging. I have a contact at the company here, and I asked them a bunch of questions, and I'll get to a few more of these too. But one of the questions I asked, because I had to know, was not only which songs, which if you check in the description, there is a link over to their website where there is a playlist for each individual batch. It's a pretty cool thought. But I was more curious who actually picked which songs. So based on the format of this, and I'll put this up over here, based on the format, I'm guessing that nobody else really has this list, but it's pretty much a PDF of an Excel spreadsheet. But that's who picked which songs for at least batch number 81. So that being said, let's stop talking about the actual company and talk about this whiskey. So this whiskey is a mixture of rye, bourbon, and American whiskeys. Now, some of you might be thinking, is it MGP? And check out MGP up there if you don't know what I'm talking about. But MGP, it is not, thankfully. I was very relieved because I asked. And I will give you a couple of hints. They told me that one of the distilleries that this whiskey comes from is in Kentucky. The other one is in Vermont. And so that got my mind thinking. Well, Dave Pickerell worked at Maker's Mark and he worked at and he still works at Whistlepig. Maker's Mark is in Kentucky, Whistlepig is in Vermont. There are not a whole lot of distilleries in Vermont, so I'm gonna just make an educated guess here that those two whiskeys are part of this whiskey. Makes a lot of sense. Anyway, this whiskey is then finished in black brandy barrels, which gives a very specific kind of flavor, which when you taste this, you will kind of get. And I'll talk about the nosing and tasting in a minute too. It's 45% ABV, and last point I'll make about this bottle is this one's batch 82, but batch 81 was where they started. And when I first saw that, I thought to myself, I'm like, there's no way that they started on batch 81. That would, like, there's just no feasible way. Even if somehow they released like batch 4, because they just kind of screwed up a couple, but never 81, right? Well, people that are fans of Metallica will probably recognize why they did 81, because the band started in October of 81. Anyway, that's where that comes from. So let's go ahead and pour out this whiskey. So if you're enjoying this video, just don't forget to hit like and potentially subscribe if you're interested. I've got some cool videos coming up in the next couple of weeks that you're not going to want to miss. So I will keep that a secret though. All right, let's go ahead and give this a nose. All right, so the number one thing that I get out of here is caramel, but a very specific kind of caramel. If you've ever made something like a caramel apple, where you have to melt your own caramel like on the stovetop, it smells like that. It's not just caramel like eating a piece of caramel, but it's like heated, warm, toasted caramel. All right, then you've got some honey and a little bit of oak coming through as well. So maybe a little bit of vanilla towards the back, but very, very, very light. So overall, a very, very good smell, or nose. All right, let's go ahead and give this a taste. Cheers. All right. So the taste is, in one word, good. So it's very, very mildly spicy, which you're getting from some of those ryes, but that is the first thing to hit you. Then you're kind of noticing that it's very smooth all the way through. This is an extremely drinkable whiskey, and that's fantastic, because sometimes too many whiskeys make it so you really can't take a big gulp. You gotta just take little sips. And sometimes you just want a big gulp. You know, it depends on what you're trying to get accomplished that night. All right, then from the barrels, you're getting a lot of honey, but then from the black brandy barrels, you're actually getting this apricot taste, which took me a little while to kind of pin down that that's what I was tasting. My very first thought actually was blackberries, which after a little bit more tasting, I kind of didn't stick with that. But if you want to picture just that sweetness that a berry would typically give you right off the bat, and it wouldn't surprise me if some of you guys get this as well. Then there's a little bit of cinnamon, and that's very typical in this kind of a whiskey. And then some butterscotch, just to finish it off right at the end. So as you can tell from the tasting notes, it's a very smooth whiskey. It starts off just a little hint of that spice though, and good all around. Speaking of good all around, let me give you my overview. What do I think of this whiskey, and do I think that it's worth your money? 100%. This is a fantastic whiskey, and especially for a craft whiskey just coming right out of the gate, and even more so for a celebrity-backed whiskey. There are too few that are good out there. And you know, actually just in doing research for this, I looked, and there are so many celebrities hawking their own alcohols, just of all different types, most of which do not have very good reviews. This one, in my opinion, is fantastic, and you should go out and you should get yourself a bottle today. It's only $43, and that's very, very good for a small distillery or craft whiskey. So after the Conor McGregor video that I did last time, I was actually extremely nervous when I got this bottle that it was going to suck. Because as soon as I took that sip of Conor McGregor's, my first thought was, oh no, this isn't very good. How am I gonna, talk about this and kind of go through this whole thing? And I was very worried about doing this. Actually, some of you, if you saw my stream a few nights ago, you'll see that I did open this on the live stream. And I was very worried that it was gonna be terrible. So in the off chance that anybody from Metallica or anybody from the company is watching this, thank you for producing a good whiskey. All right. As I mentioned, there are 5,000 bottles in each batch. So the one that you get might not be exactly like this, but it's going to be in the same spirit, as I mentioned before. The One other thing to know is that there is also a locator on their website, and I'll put another link to that down below. So if you're having trouble finding a bottle, that might help you out. You might have to drive a little way though, but as time goes on, it'll become more and more available. All right, that does it for this episode of the Whiskey Dictionary. Absolutely go out and buy yourself this whiskey. For the price, this is a fantastic whiskey. Cheers.